Hi everybody, I am Miss Meighan, and today I am going to talk to you about sound effects. More specifically, how to create your own sound effects at home with objects you might find around your house. So, in theater and film, the art of sound effects is called Foley. Maybe you have heard of that before. A Foley artist is the person on a film set who creates the sound effects. When they film a movie, the microphones will usually just pick up the dialogue or what's called ambient noise, and so somebody has to go back in after and put in sound effects to match all the things that are happening. Now, Foley comes from this guy named Jack Foley, who lived at the turn of the century. He actually was working for Universal Studios in 1914 when their very first film with sound called The Jazz Singer came out. Now, Jack Foley had been working on radio drama before and creating sound effects for radio drama, and the studio realized they needed to have sound in their film as well, and the microphones only picked up the talking. So Jack Foley went in afterwards and did the same kind of technique that he would do for radio drama, which was to watch what was happening on the film and to create sound effects with objects that matched the sound. So we're going to try and do some of that today. So in Foley, there are 3 different kinds of sound effects. There's footsteps, movement, and specifics. Now, perhaps the most famous example of feet Foley is with some coconut shells. Horse hooves. So I'm pretty sure you don't have coconuts floating around your house, but you might have plastic bowls, which will do the same thing, making the sound of horse hooves. Now, if you want to create the sound of horse hooves on the ground, you need something called a rock box. And that is basically a box filled with rocks. It's just a plastic container filled with rocks from across the street from my house, and when you walk in it, it sounds like somebody walking across the ground. Now, you can also take your coconut shells or your plastic bowls and create your horse sound on the ground. So, feet in Foley. You can use a rock box. You can use, these are just pieces of flooring to sound like somebody walking across the ground. Now, I'm going to take a pair of shoes that have a hard sole on them, and I'm going to mimic somebody walking across the ground using either the wood, or I could use my rocks, or any other surface I wanted to use my shoes to walk across. So there is an example of feet in Foley. One more fun example. Oh, I am so loud with all my sound effects here. If you wanted to mimic the sound of somebody walking through snow, the industry standard, what they actually use on film sets, is cornstarch, which your mom probably has in the cupboard, but if you're going to use it, you gotta ask her. So cornstarch, it's this fun little powdery stuff that feels really cool, and it's really squeaky when you touch it. So I'm going to just take this little makeup case here, and I'm going to pour some cornstarch into the makeup case. It's going to get all over me and make me all white. Seal it up, and if I squish this, it sounds like somebody walking through the snow. On film sets, when they need to recreate the sound of somebody walking through the snow, they always use cornstarch. The next thing we're going to talk about is Foley movement. Now, when you have to synchronize a sound with a movement, that's an example of Foley movement. Now, in radio drama, obviously you're not looking at a movement, but it might be the description of something. So let's say in your radio drama, you have a bird that's flying and you want to do the sound of a bird flying. Probably don't have a bird around your house, but you might have a pair of gloves. So if you take a glove and you flap it, that might sound like a bird flying. Maybe there's two birds. Let's see if we can do two. Maybe it's a really big bird and you want to use something bigger to make the sound. This is just an umbrella. We're going to get the sound of a really big bird flapping. Here we go. Oops. So there we go. Oh, umbrella in the house, that's bad. The sound of a bird flapping might be made with gloves or an umbrella. What about the sound of glass breaking? If you have to do the sound effect in your radio drama for glass breaking, I don't think your mom is going to be very happy if you really break glass. So, to simulate the sound of breaking glass, I have pulled out some silverware from my drawer, and then I have this box with some plastic beads in it, and this is a glass bottle of vanilla that just ran out because I made something with vanilla yesterday and used the last bit of it. So I have an empty glass bottle. It's a pretty solid glass bottle, but I'm going to take my silverware and put it in, and I'm going to make sure it's kind of resting on these beads so that it kind of, we get a vibration, and spread out my silverware. And then if I drop my glass bottle onto this pile of beads and silverware, it's going to sound like glass breaking, but it's not really going to be a mess. So here we go, let's see. So a window breaking, or yeah, like a ball through a window or something like that. You can simulate it with glass and silverware, but it doesn't make a mess. The last thing I want to talk about is Foley specifics. Now, Foley specifics is any other kind of sound effect that maybe doesn't need to go with a move, but creates the environment around. So, let's say in my story there is a fire. Obviously, I'm not going to light a fire in my house. But if I have a this is just like an Amazon package, I can take this, and if I crinkle it slowly, kind of a sizzling, crinkling fire. I can also take a cellophane package. This has some glow sticks in it. There's actually some glow sticks left in there. But if I crinkle this package, I get a really interesting fire noise. All right. Now, one of the sounds that people always try and create is the sound of the ocean. I don't have an ocean in my house. I don't know about you, but we don't have one here. And if I needed to make the sound of an ocean, I would have to find something else to do. So, I have all kinds of stuff here. I have a box, again, Amazon box, and a bag of black beans. These are uncooked black beans, so they're really hard. And I'm going to take my black beans and pour them into my box. That almost sounded like rain. Empty out the bag here. Now I have my box of beans, of beans, and I can swirl these beans around. I get the nice sound of an ocean. What about a splash? Splashes are actually really hard to create in radio drama because you have to have a big body of water to make us, like if somebody was jumping into the water, it's really hard to do that. But you can use your beans and your box, and instead of swirling it, you can actually, oh, I don't want this to go all over. Okay, here we go. So bouncing them gives you a nice splashing noise. Let's see. I'm going to try something. So I'm going to put some of these, this is a drum right here. I'm going to put some of these beans in the drum. Ooh. So that's kind of the same idea. Get a nice splash there. So I want to try a little sound effect right now, and I'm going to ask my daughter Michaela. Michaela, will you come help me for a second?
Yeah.
Okay. Michaela, you're going to do the splash. Like that.
Okay.
Okay. So a little high. There you go. All right, now I'm going to do this slide whistle. You probably don't have one of these at your house, but it's a fun sound, so I just wanted to demonstrate it for you. Slide whistle uses the slide like a trombone and does up and down. So we're going to do the sound of somebody falling and then splashing in the water. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we go. Nice. Good job. Thanks, Michaela. Rain is another one of those that gets used all the time, but it's kind of hard to create, and there's different ways that we can create it. So we can use the box of beans, which we'll do in a minute, or if you happen to have like a plastic bucket. And the hard thing about rain is that you want it to keep going. So you could, take some beans and drop them in, but then as soon as you're out of beans in your hand, the rain stops. So you want to make sure that it's a sound that can keep going. So if I have a plastic bucket, I'm just going to put it right here between the legs, and I can tap on it. For as long as I need to make a rain sound. This might not be something that you have at your house, but check your garage or ask your mom and dad. They might have something laying around. This is a piece of sheet metal that I just got at like Home Depot. And then I put some tape around the edge because it's really sharp. But this is a thunderboard. And this piece of metal, you can hold it and shake it. And get a rumbly thunder noise. You can also create a wind sound with some kind of hollow tube. So I have this Pringles can, and if I just blow into it, it smells like cheddar cheese Pringles. But it's also a great wind tunnel. So I want to create a full-on thunderstorm here, but I'm going to need some help again. So I'm going to have Michaela come back up here, and then my other daughter, Alina, is also going to help. So, Michaela, I'm going to have you do the wind, okay?
It does smell like
it does smell
cheddar cheese
it smells like cheddar cheese Pringles. All right, so you're going to, let's hear you how you do the wind. No, you can't be like full-on blow into it. Yeah, and you can like change the shape of your mouth.
Wait.
amplifies the sound. So you just want to make it noisy. Okay, Alina, you're going to do the thunderboard. So you're going to hold it at the top. And instead of it's like a little bit of shaking. Okay. All right, and then I'm going to try and figure out, all right, what do we want to use for the rain? Should we do the bucket or should we do the beans?
The bucket.
The bucket, okay. All right, here we go. So no, the thunder doesn't go all the time. The wind and the rain do, but the thunder just goes every once in a while. Are you ready? Okay, here is our homemade rainstorm. Aralina. Oh, good, awesome. All right, that's pretty good. That was pretty good, girls. Thanks. All right, I think that's all the sounds that I have to show you today. If you are creating any kind of radio drama, look around your house and see what kinds of objects you can find and what kinds of sounds you think they'll make. Things that you don't really think of might create a sound that you weren't expecting. But please remember, ask permission before you use anything. Make sure that it's not going to break, make sure you're not going to waste it, and ask your mom and dad before you create any sound effects. And have some fun with your family. Create a radio drama together, right? Thank you.